what Los Alamos was like from the original living history here. But before I do that, let me just have Connie stand up, and Roger and Mary Ella just stand up, because we have 3 more veterans from Los Alamos Manhattan Project that live there. Are here, and thank you so much for coming. I didn't want to miss that. So come on over here, have a seat. Let me get that here. Okay. Now, did anybody have a problem hearing my voice? Can you hear me back there? Okay, good. But I'm going to try to give my mom a little bit of microphone here so you can be sure to hear her stories, which are so much better than mine. Okay, you hold that.
I think you should tell them that Roger and Mike went up there. They were in the CD program, the special program. They were looking, I guess Roger could tell you more about it, but they were on a train, and they were told they were going to Manhattan. And they were going to go to New York. And they got to Santa Fe, and then they went on the bus up the hill. So it was kind of a, you know. But here he is. He's 91 years old, Roger is.
And Roger was the best man in my parents' wedding. So, and my dad was the best man in his wedding. So we have a really close connection.
There's a slide of that coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you some questions. I know you are from Las Vegas. You were born and raised in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and you've told me about being connected to the USO there. So how did you get connected to the USO there?
Well, I had 2 friends, and we used to like to sing, and it was during the war, and all the boys in Las Vegas were gone. And Camp Luna was activated, and here came all these gorgeous young guys. and I was a little younger than they were, but we used to sing, so they asked us to be on a radio show and sing. And we sang "Don't Pass Me In" and all these songs, and so then they had dances, and I was very unhappy because I was a year younger, and that was my senior year in high school, and I said, well, I want to go to those dances. So Mrs. Main allowed me to join the USO. So we would sing, we were the entertainment occasionally, but we'd go on a bus and we'd go up the hill, and then I got a job. I had a cousin whose sister was the personnel person. And she got me a little job at the post office at Camp Luna in Las Vegas. And that was Air Transport Command, by the way. In Las Vegas doesn't even have an airport. They were being trained. They were going to school also at Highlands University. So
now you told me that they would dress you up and take you on buses to dances.
Yes,
so
I had to behave myself. I had to promise that I would behave myself. The reputation of the whole town rested because I was too young. And we'd get all dressed up and go to dances. Did you go with us also, Connie, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We just were lucky to be.
Yeah.
You know, well, of course they were looking for girls. We just had fun.
Now, so when you were there at Camp Luna, you were telling me that somebody came, was looking for personnel. He came from Los Alamos. So talk about that.
Joseph P. Adams. When they started building, he came and interviewed any woman who would come up and work at Los Alamos. And so I don't think they didn't test us or anything. They took our applications and they said they'd have a bus for us, and so we went on a bus to Santa Fe, and then we saw this little office and these MPs, and took us to a bus, and we went, and we had 3 stops to get before we got to the top, and there we were. Dormitories were not even finished. We checked into our room in the dorm. And the next morning we woke up and the workmen were all looking in. Some of them turned around and went right back home. There were no sidewalks.
Some of the girls did.
Oh, yes. It was very primitive. It was big built.
Yeah.
And there were no sidewalks, and it rained a lot up there. And we wore boots a lot. Do you remember walking around in our boots on those wooden sidewalks?
Yes.
Yes, but again, it was those nice boys, you know.
The mother of 13.
Well, I had no boys in high school. We liked to go to the dances. That's why, I wanted to dance. If he could dance, then I'd go out with him.
Now, what month and what year were you?
I graduated from high school in 1945 in May. And 2 weeks later, I was at the Los Alamos. Because I had gone back to Camp Luna. And I never went back to Las Vegas. I still thank God for taking me out of Las Vegas and giving me mine.
Now, what did they tell you about the project or about Los Alamos?
Not a word.
Nothing.
It was a secret project, and we had to keep our mouths shut. We didn't even tell our parents where it was. We just said it's outside of Santa Fe. Of course, the people in Santa Fe knew that it wasn't right outside, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You had to take a bus up and a bus down. Nobody had any cars.
Yeah.
I guess they brought them along later.
Did you have, were people talking about what might be going on there? Were there some
everybody
rumors?
said, I read one guy said, we make windshield wiper for submarines. And they had this big tech area, and we never got in there.
Sure.
And guess where they put me when I went up there? They put me in the commissary checking groceries. And I said, I could do this in Las Vegas. Why not? And they said, no, you have to wait till you get a Q clearance, and then it's fine. And I could type. That was my skill. So I worked as a clerk in the warehouse office, and from there, changed jobs, different. But I stayed in the commissary till everybody was being demobilized and sent home. And then they closed the commissary, and the grocers come up there. So then I went to the carpool, and that's where I learned to drive.
Tell everybody that story about learning to drive.
They would bring the GIs had to have a driver's license now because for the state of New Mexico they weren't allowed to drive unless they had a license. And so Smitty and the other guys, they were still in the Army. They tested them. I did all the paperwork. And this Sergeant Mahoney used to come in and he'd say, he'd just visit with me. He's a real nice guy. I'm sure he was married, but he just would visit. And he said, do you drive? And I said, no, I don't drive. I've never had a car. And he said, I think you should learn to drive. So he said to Smitty, Mary's going to take a break. And he said, what do you mean she's going to take a break? He says, she's going to take a break. I'm taking her outside. She's going to teach her how to drive. So he started on a 2-ton truck. And then I learned how to drive and speed. And then one day, Smitty, he had an automobile. It was, Army color, what do you call Army draft. And he had gone to a meeting with the other guys, and he called down. He says, Mary Lou, I need my car. You're going to have to bring my car to me. I said, well, I've never driven a car. And he said, well, you'll have to bring it to me. And so I had to go park, and I had to go, got him in a narrow spot, and I scratched his car. He was so mad at me. I said, well, you made me drive it. Couldn't blame me for that.
Now, let's go back to the dorm. So I'm picturing a dorm. Where were you cooking, or how were you getting your food, or what was that?
No, it was the cafeteria.
Oh, so you ate in the
A
cafeteria.
little day room. We had a refrigerator, and there was a hot plate. You could have a bowl of soup or something. But if we were lucky and we were dancing and somebody asked to take us home, they gave us a PX and buy us a fried egg sandwich. I love fried egg sandwiches.
And then you worked for George Hill House in the commissary. Was he over?
Well, he had the vegetable.
Okay.
And Boyd Hoff had the commissary.
Okay. Tell everybody about the watermelon story.
Well, we were hungry half the time, weren't we, Connie? And I think they felt sorry for us because we were kind of thin looking. And one day he said, "Oh, Mary Lou, look, I dropped that watermelon," and he kind of dropped. Cracked a little. He said, "I wish you'd take that home and eat it." So we said, "Okay," and I was so glad. And I said, "I have a watermelon." We all had watermelon. Because we got a little salary, and I sent money to my mother, and I had to pay my rent, and we had to buy food, which was low on the list, I think.